From WBNS-TV Columbus, Keith Kate, Cheryl Sheets, Mike Davis, and Mike Gleason. This is 10TV Eyewitness News.
An escaped kidnapper fled to freedom but wound up dead, and the London Correctional Institute is trying to figure out why it happened. Good evening, I'm Cheryl Sheets.
And I'm Keith Kate. Michael Cardini did not live to enjoy his freedom. He first drove to Marysville, then to Cleveland, where officers took chase. That chase ended when Cardini took one of the guns he had stolen from the prison and shot himself in the chest. When officers checked the stolen truck, they found the escapee. Cardini was dead. Now, although this incident has come to a violent end, there are still questions at the London prison tonight that may take a while to answer. For instance, why was Cardini allowed to enter a secured area where 2 female guards were stationed? And just how did he manage to make it out of the prison alive?
He should not have got control of her in the first place, assuming he did get control of her. He should not have got control of her. The officer upstairs did not do her job. She got weapons up there. Should have used her firearms. If that man went out of here, got beyond here, he should have been shot.
Our superintendent went on to tell Eyewitness News reporter Kurt Ludlow in an exclusive interview today that he blames the 2 female guards for Cardini's escape. As a result, both officers have been placed on administrative leave, pending a full investigation.
Fire chiefs here in Columbus still don't know tonight how a fire started over on the west side. A 2-alarmer destroyed a duplex and damaged a house next door on Jones Avenue. Firefighters say the house was so cluttered inside they couldn't even get in. Angry neighbors told Eyewitness News that the duplex was nothing but a fire trap. Now, the owner, Don Sorbarva, disagreed, and tonight he's offering $2,000 to anyone who can tell him what caused his belongings to go up in flames. Fires out west in Yellowstone National Park are still burning out of control. While some of the fires near the park entrance have been put out, new fires have been reported in the park's backcountry. The rangers say the park will reopen tomorrow after being shut down for a week. And the fire is all but out near Altoona, Iowa, where 2 freight trains collided Saturday. Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board arrived in the small town today and decided just to let the cargo of denatured alcohol burn itself out. 2 crewmen were killed in the crash, and 1,000 people were forced out of their homes.
Well, television writers may be forced out of their homes, too, because of lack of money. Hollywood producers have declared an impasse in efforts to end a 21-week-old writers' strike and say they will start production without union writers. The spokesman says any Writers Guild members who want to cross the picket lines will be welcomed back. Men in high-stress jobs with little control over their duties face 2 to 3 times the risk of heart attack than other male workers. Now, that's a new study that's out in the American Journal of Public Health. The study says cooks, waiters, computer operators, gas station attendants, and some assembly line workers were among the jobs in the high-risk category.
Well, Keith, when some people need a break from stress, they head off to the ballpark. And while our Columbus Clippers may be a minor league team by baseball standards, Columbus has hit a major league home run when you look at the financial statistics. In fact, John Damschroeder tells us that unless they won the lotto with a buck, Franklin County commissioners could hardly have made a better investment than buying the Columbus Clippers.
Since Bull Durham became the hit movie of the summer, investors have joined film fans in examining minor league baseball. Forget about baseball stats like RBIs or ERA and consider instead ROI, or return on investment. And as a taxpayer, you have another big reason to cheer the Clippers. In 1977, the county bought the Clippers for just $25,000, but only $5,000 of taxpayer dollars were in that deal. You see, Clipper profits paid the rest of the purchase price. Now, last year, that $5,000 turned a $665,000 profit. Over the last 10 years, the profits have averaged $500,000 each year. In fact, Clippers general manager George Sisler says Franklin County could sell this franchise for at least $5 million, and it'd take about 10 minutes to do it.
We have been probably the most consistent and most successful minor league franchise that there is.
The Clippers may be a multi-million-dollar asset, but Commissioner Roger Tracy says you just can't put a price tag on what baseball has done for the quality of life here. Best of all, Tracy says we never have to worry about losing our team.
They're going to hold us hostage. They're not going to say you've got to put millions more in the stadium or we're leaving town. This franchise is anchored here. The people of this county own it, and that means we're going to have baseball in Columbus for as long as we want to.
We may even get a Major League franchise, according to the man who brought the Clippers to Columbus in the first place. Former Commissioner Harold Cooper says a county-owned baseball franchise would have to be considered when the major leagues expand.
It hasn't been done, but I think it's a pretty good idea. There's more money. The county has more money than most owners of major league franchises.
Whether the Clippers grow into a major league franchise or not, they've definitely grown into the best $5,000 Franklin County ever spent. John Schroeder, Eyewitness News.
Another countdown has begun for Discovery as she awaits her voyage.
And the next time a severe storm rolls around, chances are you won't miss the warning. Stay with us. Engineers at Kennedy Space Center have turned in for the night, but that's only after spending all day preparing Discovery for her first flight. Now today, NASA resumed the countdown for an engine test firing on the space shuttle, and that's set for Thursday. Technicians fixed a leak and a bad oxygen pump yesterday, and they say the work will set the shuttle's trip back by about 1 week. That's only if more mechanical or weather problems don't pop up.
Oh, when severe weather rolls in, you see the clouds, but you don't always realize the danger. Even this weekend's storms appear threatening for a time. And there are concerns that the old siren systems won't work in case of an emergency. But as Mike Davis explains, steps are being taken to beef up our warning systems.
That's the sound you'd hear in the event of a tornado or other disaster. But it's one that hasn't been heard much in the past 2 years. And it's never been heard from a system like this. That is, until now. These speakers, which arrived in Dublin Friday, are the first phase of a county-wide 3-year program designed to bring this area's emergency warning system up to date.
We have a very reliable network now. We test it, of course, every Wednesday to make sure it works. But the fact is that the sirens are 30, 35 years old.
In fact, many are the old civil defense sirens that would have warned of enemy bombers. But now it takes lots of time and attention just to keep the system running. The new system will have several distinct advantages. The speakers are louder, they'll be radio activated since phone lines are often the first thing to go in the case of a storm, and they'll do much more than wail.
We can put out those voice messages, and we plan to do that in the near future, especially during emergencies like chemical emergencies and for evacuation instructions.
Ross says he hopes this will cut down on any confusion.
This was only a test.
Friday's test marked the first time anyone here had seen the new system, and there were some concerns.
An awful lot of wind resistance.
But the $12,000 Wayland speaker got nods of approval, especially when compared to some of the existing warning systems.
I refer to them as antiques. You can't always depend on them. And we think the new system, if we place it properly, will give the entire village, communication.
Communication in case of crisis. Still, each community must make its own decisions, and Franklin County officials say they hope to have at least the framework ready in time for next year's tornado season. And the entire system should be online by late 1990. Now, no decision has been made so far on where to place the Dublin speakers. Columbus, in the meantime, has ordered 12 speakers of its own. And if you're looking for something that you might be able to do to keep yourself in touch with what's going on storm-wise in the area, something simple like this, a basic radio-operated system that'll give warning signals and everything else, and is battery-operated so you're not depending on power cords, might be the way to go. Keith?
Yeah, some really good advice. Now, where can you pick up something like that, Mike, and what exactly is it called again?
Something like this. This is called a weather alert system, and it's really easy to find. You can go to a Radio Shack store. I've even seen them at Sears, various brands and things like that. So they are around any basic electronic shop. Radio Shack, as I said, should be able to have something like this, and they're relatively inexpensive, too, and a lifesaver at times.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Mike, and you'll be back in just a few minutes. And for severe weather, listen for Mike Davis. Thanks.
Well, believe it or not, even bad weather is good for some people. Dark clouds or no clouds can have a silver lining. For farmers, the drought was a disaster, but private weather forecasters found it profitable. Those services have made $50 billion predicting weather over the past year. Now, more and more businesses are using them. Construction companies can predict when to pour concrete. Utility companies know when the peak use times are, and even bookies use forecasters. A little wind could make a big difference after all. We'll see what our forecaster is predicting as we head back to work tomorrow.
And the taste test is in tonight for the best ribs in town.
Hyundai. Cars that make sense.
This This year's Rib Fest is history, and there is a new winner.
The crown of burned ribs went to some very vocal champions. Ground round took home the plaque for the Rib Challenge, beating defending champion Damien's. Next year, the round will get to fly the winning banner over its grill. And another hot event, the Celebrity Rib Relay.
There's no pig staying at home. There's no pig ahead. Rib! There is! There's no pig ahead, none. And there's no little pig that...
Kurt Luckett of 10 TV counted Christy Perry's piggies while Mike Davis pigged out on ribs. Then Barry Pintar turned into a pig, and it was off to another event. Then Mike and Christy ran home with the coveted pigskin. And gosh, more ribs, more ribs. What style, what grace. And in the end, our little porker's tail, WSU-TV, weekend weatherman Mike Davis, as you can see here, has his own opinion. And it wasn't a good one.
Man, you look winded.
It was not.
Second in a field of 3. What can you do? We should switch gears, maybe check out the weather. Yeah. Odd bit of irony for the month of July. We came out the 4th wettest July in history.
Wow.
That's more than 100 years of Columbus records. So yeah, that's short-term drought relief, though, not the long-term stuff, but kind of an odd month. Let's take a look at what's happening here on the last day of this odd month. And today it was 87. Not odd at all. It was warmer than normal. 68 this morning. That, too, was on the high side. Record would have been 96. Didn't make it, but we'll shoot for a record again tomorrow. Currently outside, 74 nice degrees, but very, very muggy out there. 90% right now. Barometer's 30.05, and the winds are out of the east at 3 miles an hour. Big view on the satellite picture this evening shows clouds way to the west of us and not too much lingering in our region. Cloudiness just along the southern and western border of the state. Also some thunderstorms rumbling through Indiana. Those do not look like they pose a threat to us at all tonight. Here's the national picture on the radar. You can see some showers and thunderstorms rumbling from the Midwest down through parts of the southeast. It rained heavily out west of Denver, 2 inches in about an hour. And down at Beaver, Utah, yes, there is a Beaver, Utah. It's in the heart of the Beaver Valley in Beaver County, 1.6 inches. They got it in 35 minutes. I'm not lying. I've been there. It's a nice little city. Record heat also through parts of the Midwest. 105 in Minneapolis, hot as it had been ever since 1936. 102, meanwhile, at La Crosse and also Peoria, and 107 out at Sioux Falls, very hot. Meanwhile, warm weather heading our way tomorrow. Borderline record temperatures, although our records won't be in the hundreds. Our records only in the middle 90s come tomorrow. Low temperatures tonight, 60s and 70s, so unremarkable, but high humidity, so not really the most comfortable of nights. Tomorrow, look for high temperatures mainly in the 90s, pushing into western and central Ohio, and a few 80s out in the eastern part of the state. Temperatures right now, 60s and 70s, but you may be complaining anyway because of that humidity. 68 at Cleveland, 63 at Youngstown, 75 at Zanesville, and still pretty warm down in the southern part of the state. For people going back to work tomorrow, you'll run into maybe a few rain showers up in parts of Michigan and also in parts of Pennsylvania. But once you get south of that line, everybody's got sunshine and temperatures warming up well into the middle 90s. Here's the forecast for tonight, and it's a kind of sticky one. Mostly clear, but southerly winds will bring humidity up tonight. Temperatures only in the upper 60s. By tomorrow, look for another nice day. Sunshine early, hazy and humid, though, by afternoon. Near record heat. The record high tomorrow is 97 degrees. For Tuesday, mostly sunny, hot and humid still. Sound familiar? We're going back to that old pattern, mid-90s and low 70s. And then for the outlook, lots of sunshine, high humidities, hazy, hot, humid. I hate it.
The 3 H's. Hate, hazy, hot,
big
humid.
H's, yeah.
Okay. Getting to a dangerous point, by the way? It's 97?
Yeah, with the humidity up, it's going to be one of those stressful type situations, but at least we won't have those 100-degree temperatures.
Okay,
thank you. Well, a former Buckeye has a big day over in the Queens country.
And the Mets serve up a triple delight to hometown fans. Sports is next. Buckeye has a big game as a pro today.
Yeah, not a bad way to kick off a career. The British people, I should say, looked at today's matchup, San Francisco-Miami, as a rematch of the '85 Super Bowl. I doubt if the two teams looked at it like that, but whatever the case, more than 70,000 people turned up at Wembley Stadium to watch the Dolphins and 49ers do battle in the third American Bowl. Now, the victory doesn't count in the standings, of course, but Don Shula has to be somewhat pleased with the way his defense played over there this afternoon. In the third quarter, Miami trailed by a point when Jackie Shipp sailed in with his fumble recovery, giving the Dolphins a 20-14 edge. Former OSU star Eric Kummerow, the Dolphins' #1 draft pick, opened some eyes over there as well today. Playing as a down lineman instead of a linebacker, Kummerow recorded a couple of sacks, not to mention this fourth quarter fumble recovery, which set up the winning touchdown. And the man who had the honor, former Falcons starter David Archer, who just may have found a spot as a backup in Miami. The final score here, Dolphins by 6, 27-21. Well, the Reds picked up a game on L.A. last night, but didn't waste any time giving it right back. The Reds lost to their former teammate Dennis Rasmussen out in San Diego 8-5 today. Since leaving Cincinnati, Rasmussen's won 7 out of 8. Meanwhile, Hal Lanier had hoped to make it 3 straight over the Dodger Blue, but Jim Deshaies ran into some problems in the 3rd inning with the bags full. John Shelby lined to single the left, scoring a pair. Dodgers won at 6-1 as Oral Hershiser grabbed his 15th. And in the East, the Mets said they'd take care of the Pirates when they met head-to-head. Well, that has nothing to do with those Redheads, but New York made those words stand over the weekend, at least so far. Darryl Strawberry's 27th homer of the season proved the difference in a 2-1 ball game. All weekend long, the long ball has killed the Bucks. As we go to the scoreboard, we see New York winning at 2-1, and the Mets have opened a 5-game lead once again. There's the Dodgers score, San Diego over Cincinnati. As we told you, Montreal 2-0 over St. Louis. Philadelphia doubled up on Chicago, and San Francisco took 2 from Atlanta out in Candlestick. In the American League, the Tigers and Yankees continue to run 1-2 in the East. Both teams recorded victories today, but the Red Sox feel it's time to start including them whenever mentioning that race, because they also won again this afternoon to remain a mere game and a half back of Detroit. It's 20 straight in Fenway Park, and Mike Boddicker, just picked up from Baltimore, made his Bostonian debut. The fans loved him. He looked impressive. He threw 7 2/3 of 8-hit ball for the 5-0 shutout. In the West, the A's held on to their 5.5-game lead thanks to Jose Canseco. Watch the missile against Seattle. Boy, this thing just took a second or two at the most to find the seats. And then later, Canseco stepped to the plate once again. Watch this. He'll break his bat. And he still has enough power, more than enough power to clear the barrier. 2 homers on the day for Jose, 30 on the season to lead the major leagues. But the Minnesota Twins also cranked out a few long balls up in Cleveland this afternoon. Tim Laudner started things off with a 2-run shot, his 10th, giving the Twins an early 2-0 lead. And then Greg Gagne got in on some of the action, drilling his 11th. Minnesota opens a 3-0 lead. And then in the 6th inning, well, on second thought, we'll skip those highlights for the sake of Indian fans because the Twins went on to score 9 runs in the 6th. There's your final score, 12-4. As we mentioned, Oakland by 4 over Seattle. Detroit, in that ballgame, incidentally, Jack Morris picking up his first victory since June 27th. There's the Yankees score over Toronto, 6-3. Boston 5 over Milwaukee. Kansas City 4-1 over the Birds, and California by 2 over the White Sox, 7-5. If it's any consolation for Cleveland fans, the Clippers also had a long evening over at Cooper Stadium tonight where they lost to Toledo 9-1. Mudhens blew this thing wide open with 5 runs in the 9th inning. The culprit, Jeff Reynolds. This monstrous 3-run shot to center field went along with his 2-run double as the Clippers lose it by 8, but they continue their homestand tomorrow night, opening a 3-game set with Maine. 24-year-old Scott Verplank has good reason to wear that big smile tonight. Back in 1985, he won the Western Open as an amateur. Then he was playing so poorly, he sought help from a psychiatrist. It must have paid off because he shot a 66 at the Buick Open today to win the tournament by 2 strokes. He finished at 20 under par. On the NASCAR scene, they had a real tight one on the Talladega 500 down in Alabama where Darrell Waltrip started from the pole position, led for most of the race. Then he ran into some mechanical problems on lap 161, which set the stage for Ken Schrader, who didn't take the lead until the white flag, which signifies the final lap. And then Schrader battled, hung on to beat Jeff Bodine just barely, while Dale Earnhardt and Rick Wilson finished 3rd and 4th. And before I send it back, I couldn't end it without telling you probably the most important news of the day, just who is the fastest player in the National Football League. Do you guys have any idea whatsoever?
No, go ahead.
I didn't think so. Okay, it came down to Rod Woodson on the Steelers and the Redskins' Darrell Green, the man who won it 2 years ago. Phil, why don't you roll the tape so we can answer that question that's been on the minds of millions tonight.
It's a clean start, and Darrell Green is out of the block like a shot. At 30 yards, he starts to accelerate, and it's that long, smooth, fluid stride that powers Darrell Green to victory.
There you go. Next time somebody asks you and say, who's the fastest guy in the NFL, you know it's Darrell Green.
All right.
Incidentally, it looks like Cleveland Cavalier fans are going to have Tree Rollins on your team. It looks like he's going to sign with the Cavaliers in the next couple of days.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet.
Time to say bye-bye to the bunny.
As some infamous tales and other memorabilia hit the auction block. American Playboy bunnies have packed away their ears and tails, and the club sold off for charity.
Well, in bits and pieces anyway. And up in Lansing, Michigan, bunnies and others bid wildly for pieces of the Playboy past, including blow-ups of magazine covers. And the only clubs left are in Japan and over in the Philippines.
The money that was made, well, they hopped it over, if you will, to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
I wrote it. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I read it. We all enjoyed it. That's going to be our news for now. For all of us here, thanks for watching.
I'd like to thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next weekend.
Good night.
Good night.
Are Ohio's pharmacies tough enough? A report